because it's really helped me get through some tough times and come out stronger on the other end, and I really want that for you as well. Hey guys, and welcome to The Chic Life, where we talk about raising your frequency so you can live your dream life full of ease, flow, and abundance. Today I want to talk about 5 steps to get out of despair, whether you are feeling hopeless about stuff, whether you feel like you've had a series of bad things happen to you, if you're dealing with an injury. This is how I personally like to process these kinds of things and also pull myself out of this negativity and this negative space, while still allowing myself to feel through it so that I don't cause any long-term traumas or anything like that. So the way I've come up with these steps is actually based on personal experience, and I basically have gone through several bad times in my life. You know, we all have ups and downs, but there are 2 that stand out to me, and one was several years ago, and that experience did not go well. That experience went very poorly, and the second experience went really well, all things considered, for what I was going through at the time. Basically, based on these experiences, the way I see it is this, that when you're going through a tough time, you want to allow yourself to feel through it, but you also want to try to make your way out of it at the same time and not ruminate on it too much. So with the first experience that happened several years ago, it just felt like everything was going wrong in my life. I was just very sad all the time. I dreaded waking up in the morning. I dreaded going to work, and it just felt like one thing after another bad was happening to me. And it just felt like I was spiraling out of control, and I would just get really upset thinking about all the bad things that were happening, and that negative thinking really generated more negative energy, and it caused me to just spiral further and further and further down. At the time that this bad stuff was happening, I was not strongly practicing law of attraction, but now that I do that, I can more clearly see that what we focus on, we get more of. What we do, we attract more of. Where our thoughts go, we're going to get more of that. And my thoughts were so focused on the bad things that were happening and how I was angry about it, and I felt frustrated, and I just let myself just get more and more focused and more worked up. And it was just creating this really negative momentum that just kept me stuck for a really long time, and actually caused a lot of trauma that I didn't really fully allow myself to process, and for which I am now dealing with several years after the fact. Because of that experience, I now process these kinds of things very differently. Whereas with the second time was actually when I was going through my divorce in New York City. It was a really hard time. I basically felt like this whole life that I'd created, that I'd built, that I'd worked so hard for, was now falling apart before my eyes. Everything I'd worked for was gone, and I had no direction. I didn't know where I was going, and I just did the best to manage through that time. This time I did things a lot differently, and the whole experience was entirely different, and I came out on the other end of it feeling stronger than I did going into it. So I want to share with you how I process things the second time and how I process things today, because it's really helped me get through some tough times and come out stronger on the other end, and I really want that for you as well. And before we get into it, I do want to say there are many different ways that people process these kinds of things, and so by no means am I saying this is the end-all be-all way. I think it's really great that each of us can share our own experiences and what works for us as just sort of like an example, like, hey, here's something that might work for you. And if it works for you, I love that so much. If it doesn't, I'm so sorry. Please do keep looking, because there is a solution out there for you. For the ways that I process through despair and tough times, the first thing that's really important is you need to allow yourself to feel the emotions of the experience. Even if times are hard, even if the emotions hurt, I think the thing I did really wrong the first time was really block those emotions. I felt like I shouldn't be feeling these negative things, and I tried so hard to just not let myself feel it, and that actually is what really caused a lot of trauma for me, and that's what I am dealing with now that I've made space to handle it. Whereas with my divorce, I really just let myself feel sad. I said, this is a hard thing I'm going through. My feelings are valid. It's okay for me to not be happy at this time. It's okay for me to feel sad. I think where it's really important is you don't want to ruminate in it. You don't want to get super focused on it and just like dwell on it and let it consume you. I think what I try to do that helps me the most is almost I like to say, let the feelings pass through me like a wave washing over me. And for me in New York, my experience was actually that it kind of was like an up and down, where I'd feel like bad and then I'd feel better and then bad and then better. And so it wasn't like I had a single time where I just said, okay, I'm sad and now I'm better. It kind of went up and down for a while, and I think we'll all probably handle it differently. But I think what's important and what I've learned through doing therapy is that you need to let your feelings be valid and acknowledge that they are valid and okay. Let yourself feel them, and then do your best to try to move forward. So in terms of not ruminating, what I think I did wrong the first time is I really got fixated on all the things that were going wrong, and that created that negative momentum. So what you want to try to do now is try to create more positive momentum, and the little bits of positivity are what are going to slowly start turning the momentum in a more positive and good direction. So you just kind of want to think about taking little steps that are going to start attracting more good, because what you focus on, you get more of. So even though it's hard, even though it may feel like everything's going wrong, just try to find small good things to focus on. The way I like to do this is with step 2, which is I trust the universe. I fully believe personally that the universe is always working for my highest good, and that even though I may be going through something that's very difficult, in the end it's going to be for my highest good and for my best life. So a small example of this is a few years ago, I had some close friends leave my life, and as someone who grew up as an outcast and a people pleaser, this is something that I really struggle with, you know, trying to hold on to every relationship that's in my life and feeling like really hurt and upset if anybody leaves. I think that this particular thing happened to me because I needed to get a little push to do something bigger in my life, and I don't think I would have done that bigger step if I had been as comfortable as I was with these people in my life. And the other thing too is I think I really needed to learn that you don't need to hold on to every single relationship. Like, I could do a whole other video on how to not care about what others think of you, how to not be such a people pleaser, but in terms of this particular instance, I think that this situation needed to happen because actually also in hindsight, these people were a little bit negative and toxic. And so actually I felt a little bit better after I processed through everything and realized that actually this might have been for my highest good. So that's just a small example, but I do always trust the universe works in mysterious ways, and there's probably a reason that this thing is happening, even though I feel really bad about it at the time. Okay, so for step 3, sort of in line with what I was just talking about, because I think that everything happens for a reason, I try to really question what's going on. So I try to ask questions like, what could this situation mean? What is the lesson that the universe is trying to teach me here? What learning can I take away from this and apply to my life? And by sort of questioning the experience from a curiosity standpoint almost, it almost neutralizes the negative experience, right? I think that my default response earlier when things weren't going so well is, why is this happening to me, right? I feel like that's the gut response, but that's a very victim-based response. It's like, why is this happening to me? That just puts you into victim mode, which is a really not empowering place to be, and I like to try to come from a more empowered place. And by questioning it from a place of curiosity and trying to understand, it kind of gives you some of your power back. And to me, at least, I feel that it neutralizes the situation a little bit when you're just kind of like, okay, like this thing is happening. Do you see like the difference in the energy when something bad happens and you're like, why is this happening to me? It's really different than if something happens and you're like, okay, I don't like this, I'm gonna let myself feel this, but also, what could this mean? What could this be doing for me? How is this working in my highest good? It takes your power back, and it also neutralizes that. So that's a really powerful thing to do, and just how I personally choose to look at some of these situations of despair and these tough times. It really helps me process through them. Okay, for step 4, I personally have found a lot of relief in practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude and really allowing yourself to feel into that gratitude gives you a whole different energy. I literally have been going down a spiral of, oh crap, my life is falling apart, and immediately written out just a long list of everything I'm grateful for, and it has, in my experience, it has been able to completely stop the feeling of frenzy and franticness, and it's given me a bit more positivity and feeling of happiness, and also reminds me that even though there are bad things happening, there's also still a lot of good in my life. This is also how you can start changing the momentum from spiraling out of control in negativity to starting to get a little momentum going on something that's more positive. The universe loves a grateful heart, so when you are focused on gratitude, it's a really strong, powerful, positive energy that's really uplifting and full of abundance, and that's going to start bringing more positive energy, more abundance, more good things into your life, little bit by little bit. And I have 2 videos actually about practicing gratitude. One is how to start a full gratitude practice, and one is how to practice gratitude when you are short on time. Basically, what I say in all of those is, it doesn't have to be a complicated gratitude thing. It can be simple. You could say, I'm grateful I woke up today, I'm grateful for this coffee, I'm grateful for this bed, whatever it is that pops into your head. Even if there's only one thing a day that comes to your mind, if there are just 5 simple, silly little things that you almost like feel embarrassed that you're grateful for, it doesn't matter, because that gratitude is such a strong, positive energy. It's really just you trying to take the reins and trying to start getting that positive energy going. And like I said before, I practiced gratitude all through my divorce, and so even though my emotions were very up and down and I had a lot of down times while I was doing that, the gratitude I think really helped me stay afloat and helped carry me through the dark times. So don't think that you have to wait until you're feeling better to start doing this. This is something that I would try to do like every day, even if it's just one thing a day, even if it's just simple, even if it's coffee every day for 2 weeks, at least you're practicing gratitude and you're thinking something that is a positive thought, because like I said before, what you focus on you get more of. So when you are focused on gratitude and good things and positive thinking, it's going to start getting more positive energy into your life. And on that note, my last step is to start focusing on good things and focus in terms of what you want. So the universe doesn't know the difference between I don't want and I do want. If you say, I don't want to see a clown today, the universe is like, you want to see a clown today? All right, here it is. In my experience, at least when things are going wrong, I can get really focused on like, I don't want this to happen anymore. I don't want these bad feelings. I don't want to feel like this. And that's really just generating that negative energy again. And you can kind of almost feel yourself when you're focused on like, I don't want this and, you know, I don't want that. It starts to kind of generate this negative energy. So what you want to start doing is try to think about what you want instead. If you don't want to feel bad, then you do want to feel happy. Maybe you want to feel free. Maybe you want to feel ease. Maybe you want to feel peace. Start focusing on what you want to have happen, and that's going to start attracting that into your life. As I've said throughout the video, what you focus on, you get more of. So when you start focusing on good things, even if they're super tiny at first, it's just going to create more good energy and attract more goodness to your life. And in my personal experience, going through some really tough times, even just taking little small steps to focus on good things has really helped pull me out of some really dark times. So those are my 5 steps. If you have any tips on how you personally get out of despair or get out of hard times, I'd love to hear from you. Let's share ideas and help each other so we can get out of these negative energy spaces and back into feeling good and feeling like our happy natural selves. If you want even more mindset tips, I do have a free mindset makeover audio training, and you can get instant access to that by clicking on the link in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope if you are going through something hard that you know I am sending good vibes to you, and I hope you get through this very soon. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.